Alright, so guys, so welcome. So today we're going to be looking at the trig ratios. So we spoke about the trig ratios last term, and we said that the trig ratios, they are SOH, CAH, TOA. So if you remember from last term, we said SOH, CAH, TOA. Alright, so yeah, good. Thanks for commenting, guys, so I can know who's here. Alright, so we said SOH, CAH, TOA. So remember we said S is for sine, so S is for sine, C is for cosine, and on the calculator shortened as cos. T is for tangent, and on the calculator shortened as tan. So what we have here is SOH, CAH, TOA. So S for sine, C for cosine, and T for tangent. Guys, can somebody go in the group and send the link for this to Linnea, because I see her commenting on Brianna. Because if I exit here, I think the stream is going to say something about reconnecting. So can somebody add Rihanna, send the link to some person. So can somebody let Rihanna get the link, please? Alright, so the ratios are SOH, CAH, TOA. So S is for sine, C is for cosine, and T is for tangent. So Arisia, please just send it in the group. I'm begging you. So now we have the trig ratio. So what it's saying is, a lot of people can't enter. Alright, so sine, yeah, thank you. So it says sine of theta. So we're doing SOH first. So we're doing SOH. Sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse cosine of theta. So that's the CAH. So that's SOH. So for CAH is cosine of theta. Alright, thank you. So cosine of theta is equal adjacent over hypotenuse. And guys, make sure you're writing with me as well. And then for TOA, that's tan of theta is equal opposite over adjacent. So those are what we call the trig ratios, and the purpose of the trig ratios is to help us find missing angles and to find missing sides. So it's to help us find missing angles and missing sides, and they work for a right angled triangle. Similar to Pythagoras theorem, they work for a right angled triangle. So they only work for a right angled triangle, similar to how Pythagoras is, but it's more useful than Pythagoras because now we can find angles. So you can use it to find things such as angle of elevation and angle of depression. She's saying I told her. Alright, so guys, I'm gonna go in the WhatsApp chat. The stream is gonna say something like maybe reloading, but don't leave the stream. I'm just going in there to answer. Alright, so guys, I'm back. So now, as I was saying, alright, so let me just wait on this. Alright, so missing sides. So we use it to find missing angles and missing sides. So remember Pythagoras theorem, now you get two sides and you can use it to find the missing side. But with this formula, we can use it to find missing angles and we can use it to find missing sides. So now we've identified how the ratios work. SOH is sine opposite over hypotenuse. So welcome Nyamka. CAH is cosine adjacent over hypotenuse. So let me show you how it works now. So the first thing we need to be able to do is to identify the sides. So we need to identify the sides such as opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent relative to the angle. So let's hypotenuse and adjacent relative to the angle. So let's say this is our angle. So I'm calling it theta because it can be an arbitrary angle. It can be 100, it can be 80, it can be 90. So let's say this is our angle. So since this is our angle, we're going to find the side that is opposite. What is the side that is opposite to the angle? Is it the height here or is it the base? Which side is opposite to the angle? Can somebody send the YouTube link in the group again so Rihanna can have it, please? Thank you. Create a YouTube video to join the live. Can somebody send Ashagi the link as well too, please? Thank you. Alright, so now, which side is the opposite side? So if you're on the right hand side, as the angle is here, then the opposite side is going to be over here. So over here, no, the hypotenuse is different. So the hypotenuse is always going to be the longest side. So the hypotenuse is always going to be the longest side, the diagonal line. And then the opposite side is going to be the side that is opposite to the angle. So over here is the opposite side. So the triangle has three sides. It has the hypotenuse side, it has the adjacent side, and it has the opposite side. So the triangle has three sides. So what's going to happen now is that we know two of the three sides. So we know where the hypotenuse is, we know where the opposite side is. So the only side we have left to find is the adjacent side. Therefore the adjacent side is going to be hit down here at the base. Now the hypotenuse is the longest side, the opposite side is opposite across from the angle, and the adjacent side is going to be an angle that is used to create, it's going to be the side that is used to create the angle. So you realize here, yeah, the bottom. So you realize here, these two lines help to create this angle, but this side already has a name, it's the hypotenuse. So therefore the opposite side would have to be, the adjacent side would have to be down here at the bottom, as Aricia said. So down here is the adjacent side, over here is the opposite side, and over here is the hypotenuse. So we have labeled our triangle all three sides. Now I'm going to give you one on your own to label. Once you can label them, I think that's the hardest part of this topic, trig ratios, labeling the sides. So I'm going to put, Alright, so where is the opposite side? Is it over here, or is it the base, or is it the height? Where is the opposite side? For this triangle right here, where is the opposite side? Guys, where's the opposite side? I'm waiting on your messages. Alright, so the opposite side, as we said, if the angle is at the top, the opposite side is at the bottom. If the angle is at the right hand side, the opposite side is going to be to the left. And if the angle is at the left hand side, the opposite is going to be to the right. So no, it's not going to be the height. So remember, this is the height, remember this is the height, Linnea and Aricia. So remember, this is the height. And down here, Linnea cannot. Alright, so I can read your comments in the chat. So I'm seeing your comments in the chat. So you can just comment. And down here is our base. So since, what's Brianna saying? Alright, so repeat that. Alright, so what I'm saying is that the opposite side, so if the angle is at the top, the opposite side is at the bottom. If the angle is at the right, as in, so it's up here at the top, then the opposite side is at the bottom. If the angle is at the right hand side over here, then the angle is going to be to the left. The opposite side is going to be to the left. If the angle is over here to your left, then the opposite side is going to be to the right. So the opposite side is just, like up, down, left, right, right, left. So now we want to find where the opposite side for this is. So since it's at the top, opposite side is going to be here, down here at the bottom. Then we know the hypotenuse is always going to be the diagonal line. So since we know it's the diagonal line, we know this is the hypotenuse. And remember, the three sides of the triangle are the hypotenuse, the opposite side, and the adjacent side. So since we already know where the hypotenuse is, we already know where the opposite side is. So which side now is going to be the adjacent side? Is it the height? Alright, Talisa, I can read your comment as well. So you can just message in the chat because I'm looking at the phone as I go along. And same thing with Livia. Alright, so you guys can just message in the chat. Are you saying that you can't see the stream? Alright, so what's happening here now? So this is the height. This is the base. But we're not worried about that. We're calling it in terms of hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent side. So the adjacent side is the only side left, which would be this side, which is unlabeled. And remember, the adjacent side helps to form the angle. So I can't see where to comment. I mean, Linnea, that's okay for now. The most important thing is that you can see the stream and I can read your messages in the chat. Alright, so you form, so the side that forms the angle, that's the adjacent side. So over here is the adjacent side. So, yes, so the height is the adjacent side, so that's correct. So now, we move on now to the second most important part of this. So, on this page so far, we talk about SOHCAHTOA, and we said that we use SOHCAHTOA to find missing angles and missing sides. So, the S is for sine, O is for opposite, and H is for hypotenuse. So, sine of theta is equal opposite over hypotenuse for ka. C is for cosine, A is for adjacent, H is for hypotenuse. So we have cosine of theta is equal adjacent over hypotenuse. And for TOA, we have tan of theta is equal opposite over adjacent. And just now I showed you guys how to identify the sides. Alright, so I realize the messages are coming in late. I don't know why. But alright, so that's it. So now we'll move on to another important part. So this piece is important. So we're gonna do the second objective, which is to calculate the sine. Calculate the sine. So guys, write while I write, please. Sine, cos, tan of angles. So we're gonna calculate the sine, cosine, and tangent of angles. So we're gonna say the angle is equal 30. Angle is equal 30 degrees. So I want you to calculate sine of 30, cosine of 30, and tan of 30. Alright, so what's sine of 30? Guys, what's sine of 30? What's sine of 30? Alright, now take us. Alright, so let me show you to calculate it. It's actually quite easy. So you turn on your calculator, you're going to press the sine button, then you're going to input 30, and you just press your equal button, and you get a half. So the answer, no, it shouldn't be that linear. I think you have your calculators in radians. So if you look on my if you look at my calculator to the right, top right, you're going to see it's saying DEG, that means degrees. So your calculator should be in degrees. So let me see if I can get some light on this. Your calculator should be in degrees, Linnea. So it should be, oh, so you got it, 0.5. So everybody has got 0.5. So if you look at my calculator, you're going to see DEG, or what's that, DEG, DRG. So that's it, so 0.5. So now, what's cosine of 30? It's cosine of 30, guys. So let me put it a half. What's cosine 30? Guys, I really would appreciate if you don't leave the stream, because this is the easy part, and you know how easy parts go. They build together to make something harder because they just don't feel comfortable giving people the easy part of it. Alright, so cosine of 30, you press. Alright, so let me just wait for it to focus. Let me just get it focused. Alright, so why is it not focusing? Alright, so yeah, so you press cosine, you put in 30, equal to, I got a fraction, let me convert it to decimal. So equal to 0.866. So cosine of 30 is 0.866. Now we're gonna find where is the degree. Alright, so on most calculators, so for example on my one, I'd have to go into mode, and you see where I'm in mode, and you see I'm on DEG, and then I can go to RAD, or I can go to GRAD. So I use degrees mainly, so that's what I select. Yeah, so 0.9 is pretty close if you round it off. So now we look, and we're gonna look at tan 30. So tan, I press tan button, tan 30 is equal to, I got a fraction, I'm gonna convert that to a decimal, and the answer is 0.577. Yes, there should be a DRG button on it, or there should be a RAD or something. So you just press the second function and you'd be able to get it. Alright, so now tan of 30 is 0.577. Yeah, so you got it correct. So now we've completed the two important easy steps. So now you're ready to find the missing side. Yeah, you're correct, Leandro. I saw that. You're correct. So now we're on the most, really where we wanted to go. So this part is the part that really we wanted to reach. So I'm going to do an example. So let's say this angle over here is 50 degrees. And we're given that the height of the triangle is 5. And they say, alright, since the height of the triangle is 5. Yeah, I'm reading the comments. I see Leandro and you comments. I said yes. And Leandro said 0.5. But I'm not sure 0.5 for what. I guess that came in late. I'm reading the comments, man. Alright, so now we're supposed to find the base. So let's say this, they say, alright, find the base. So I'm going to find the base now. So how can I find the base from this? This diagram, it looks like it doesn't give a lot of information. But with this diagram, you can, yes, so 0.6, 0.577. 0.6 is more, Leandra. So you round off too early just now. Alright, so we have this diagram. Who can tell me the answer of the base? Alright, so nobody? Alright, so the first thing what we do whenever we have these questions is we identify the sides. So we identify which side is opposite, which side is hypotenuse, and which side is adjacent. So we know hypotenuse is always the diagonal line, so that's always the easy part. So this is the hypotenuse. So that's the easy part. Now we want to find which side is opposite or which side is adjacent. So we know the adjacent side helps to form the angle. So these are the two lines that form the angle. But since up here is hypotenuse, then down here has to be the adjacent. So this is the adjacent side. And remember, the triangle is going to have three sides, which are opposite, hypotenuse, and the adjacent side. So since we already know where the hypotenuse is, we know where the adjacent is, we can just easily see that, over here is the opposite side. So over here is the opposite side. Now, we identify the sides of the triangle, so we want to know which sides are important to us. So we're given that the opposite side is 5 centimeters, and we want to find what the adjacent side is. So we can say, alright, we have opposite and the adjacent side. So which ratio matches up to the opposite and adjacent? The side which formed the angle is the base. Adjacent. Yeah, the side which formed, well, not necessarily. The side which formed the angle is not necessarily the base. The base of the triangle is the part of the triangle that touches the floor, but the adjacent side helps to form the angle. So the adjacent side is what you're referring to. So the adjacent side helps to form the angle. Now we have the opposite side and the adjacent side. So which ratio are we going to use? Which ratio as opposite and adjacent? So we know the ratios are SOHCAHTOA, SOHCAHTOA. So we want to know which ratio uses opposite and adjacent side. So the ratio which uses opposite and adjacent side is TOA. Yes, so correctly named, so TOA. and correct Jaden. So tower. So we're going to use the tower ratio. So how we're going to use tower ratio now is we're going to say what is the angle. So the angle here is 50. So we're going to say tan of 50 is equal to opposite over adjacent. So what's opposite now? Opposite is going to be 5. So over here, remember we have opposite over here. So opposite is 5. So we're going to have tan of 50 is equal to 5 over the adjacent side is what we did not know. So sir, this is Brianna. This will be yeah, it's already uploaded. So it's already uploaded. So once I end the stream, it's gonna be on the channel, and I'm probably not gonna delete it until tomorrow. So you can watch it later and you can ask questions. But don't use that as a excuse not to be in the live, because when you're in the live you can ask questions directly. Alright, so now adjacent side, we don't know what adjacent side is. So we're gonna put X. So we want to find what X is. And I think most of you remember up to this step, so we can, you know, most of you probably remember up to this step. So what I normally do here is I cross multiply. So when I cross multiply, I get X times tan 50 is equal to, tan 50 is equal, let me see if that's what I get for tan 50. You might be right. Yeah, that's what I got for tan 50 linear. So 1.19 is tan 50. Alright, so now I got X times tan 50 is equal to 5. And then you remember your linear equation, so you know that. Let me see. So tan 50, let me put in tan 50 into this so you can see it. So tan 50 is equal to 1.19. So that's my tan 50. So I'm putting, wherever I say tan 50, I'm putting 1.19 is equal to 5. And then now, so X times 1.19 is equal to 5. So how do I find X? How do I find X from this equation? Anybody? How do I find X? How do I find X? Guys, how do I find X? Nobody? Alright, so how I find X is I'm going to divide by the coefficient of X, which is 1.19. So I'm going to divide both sides by 1.19. This cancels this 1.19, and then I have 5 divided by 1.19. Let me see what that gives me. 5 divided by 1. Sorry, I don't have my calculator on my YouTube. Linear, it's the other way around, so it's 5 divided by, remember what you want to get rid of what's beside the X. So you're going to divide what's beside the X by both sides. So it's going to be 5 divided by 1.19. And then X is going to be equal to 4.2. So that's really how it works. So that's really all you have to do. Tomorrow we're going to learn how to calculate the angle given the sides. So tomorrow we're doing angle given the sides. But today we're, yes, a 4.20. So that's correct, Rachel. Alright, so now that's a 4.20 linear. So let's do one more example. Then I'm going to go over to the group, try to summarize in voice notes, and give you an activity to do. So let me see. I'm going to call this angle 60 degrees. And then I'm going to make it opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite over hypotenuse. Alright, so yeah. So I'm going to give you to find the hypotenuse. Alright, so now find the missing side. So how do we find X? Well, first step, identify where hypotenuse is, where opposite is, and where adjacent is. So we can do it step by step. Eventually, when you get to a point, you're not going to have to do it step by step. But let's just do it step by step for now. So you write hypotenuse, you write adjacent, and you write opposite. So you know the hypotenuse is always the longest side, so you know this is going to be the diagonal line, so that's the hypotenuse. So we just have adjacent and the opposite left. We know the adjacent side is what used to form the angle, so that's used to form the angle. So the angle is formed by these two sides. And because this side is the hypotenuse, we know that this side here has to be the adjacent. So this is our adjacent side. And we just have one side left, which is the opposite side. So we know the opposite side is going to be over here. So we know the opposite side is over here. What we want to find is we want to find the hypotenuse. So since we want to find the hypotenuse, the two sides that we are interested in are over here. So we're interested in this side, and we're interested in this side. So the two sides we're interested in are opposite and the hypotenuse side. So we're interested in opposite and we're interested in hypotenuse. So that's OH. Alright, so out of SOHCAHTOA, which one of the ratios matches up with OH in SOHCAHTOA? Which one of the SOHCAHTOA ratios match up? SOHCAHTOA, yes, so that's correctly named. So it's the SO ratio. So we're going to use SO. So since we're using SO, it's going to be sine of the angle. Angle is 60. So we're going to have sine 60 is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So then sine 60 is equal to, alright, so what's opposite side equal to? So the opposite side, that was equal, alright, so I'm waiting on this to refocus and then I can continue. I think my internet is probably the problem. Alright, so it's gonna come clear shortly, guys. Alright, so yeah, so it's clear now. So now sine, the opposite side, yeah, that's correct. That's correctly named. Sine 60. I think you did sine 60 just now, 0.8. So that's correct for sine 60. So now sine 60 is equal opposite. The opposite side is equal to 10. So sine 60 is equal to 10. And it's divided by the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is x. So since the hypotenuse is x, we do the same thing where we cross multiply again. Get sine 60 is equal to x. Well, no, sine 60 times x is equal to 10. And then as the name says, sine 60 is 0.87x is equal to 10. We divide both sides by the coefficient of x. So we have x is equal to 10 divided by 0.87. X is equal to 11.49. 10. Yes, Arisa, you're correct. So sine 60 times x is equal to 10. And then we get, sir, make you move on now. Alright. Alright, so that's it for, those type of questions. No, Linny, you're supposed to divide. Alright, so I think you did it the opposite way. So you're supposed to divide the 10. So when you divide the 10, you're going to divide the 10 by 0.87. So you just identify the sides, identify which two sides are important, and then you solve for the missing side as 11.49. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to exit the YouTube live stream. I'm going to go back to the chat. I'm going to send these pictures that I posted. And you can send me your working out about where you fell off or fell out with what I was doing. And I'm going to send some activities. So, guys, so that's it for the stream. So have a good day. We're going to take it back to the WhatsApp chat.